Hi everyone, it's Cindy, and I was asked to share with you all how I made my Rolodex or Memorydex box. I made one and sent it to Sabrina. She should have it by now. And then I made this one yesterday in a tutorial that I filmed, and I watched the whole thing through afterwards on the camera, and it was fine. And then somehow between me and the camera and the computer, I deleted it. So I'm doing it over again. So this one I did the basic part on that video. I did not decorate it on the video, and I won't decorate it completely on the new one on the video either. But anyway, this is what it looks like. Got 2 dowels in the bottom to rest the Memorydex cards on, and even decorated on the bottom, make it all nice little pretty package. So yeah, that's what it's going to look like, or thereabouts, different paper, but you get the idea. So what you need first, and I'm going to have a list. Excuse me, my cord is hanging down here, and I'll bet it's in the screen, so I just wanted to move it. I'm going to have a list of the sizes of each of the pieces that you need to cut, as well as the supplies that you'll need. But I'm just going to read them off here to quick use so that you know what I'm doing. First of all, you need a piece of chipboard, or a couple of pieces of like cereal box or whatever, and needs to be at least 4 inches wide, and however long you want your box to be. I use a 12 by 12 sheet of chipboard, and I use the entire length so that my boxes are just a bit over 12 inches long. But you can do them however long you think you're going to need them to be, or maybe your space allows. You might need to make a couple of them if you have a lot of cards but don't have deep shelves. Plus, you need something to cut it with. In my case, I use medium weight chipboard from Graphics that I get on Amazon. It used to be fairly cheap on Amazon, about $7 for 25 sheets. It's now up to $12. It was even higher over the winter. So, yeah, I'm real grateful I stocked up last summer when it was $7. And then, so I have the Fiskars Procision rotary cutter, and I use that. Loved it so much. I love that cutter because I do so much with chipboard. And even just cutting bulk papers for my journals. I got one from my son, and I got one for Sabrina. So that's I just dropped a piece on the floor. So you'll have to bear with me when I go to get that. You'll need, you can use that, or you can use like the heavy Tim Holtz scissors. That's what these are. They're wicked things, but they do cut through chipboard well. It just depends on whatever you're cutting and whatever you have. I mean, don't go out and buy a heavy-duty cutter to try to make a box. You may not ever make another box. You may not like it. Or you can use an X-Acto blade and a ruler and your self-healing cutting mat. So you need that. And then you also need what I call construction strips. Some people call them hinges. You take a 1-inch strip of cardstock. This is Recollections Craft. It's real nice and heavy. I like this cardstock. I always have offcuts of this because I use that color very often when I make books. And I get 8.5 by 11 paper, so I often have little bits to cut off. And that makes great strips to cut into 1-inch pieces. Then you just put double-sided tape on the other side. I use a 1-inch piece to cover the whole thing because I have a lot of 1-inch tape. A lot of people and I used to, when I had more of the other, I would just use the 3/8 or a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch, whatever, tape. But like I said, I'm using the 1-inch because that's what I have. You'll need about 4 of those for this thing, a little less than 4. You'll also need, if you're using a real heavy, medium weight chipboard like I am, you'll need a crocodile or something equally heavy to punch through it. You'll need glue. I use white glue, Aleene's tacky glue, along with the construction strips, because when these double-sided tapes hit chipboard, you really can't move them. But if you put white glue on top of that, you have a couple of seconds to move them around. More than a couple of seconds, probably about 30 seconds rather. And you can, get it just right, or move it if you made a mistake, or whatever. And I like that. Plus, I like to put a bead of glue right down the center for a couple of reasons. One, I use it as a marking point to line up my pieces of chipboard. The other thing is I like getting that little bit of glue between the pieces of chipboard. And so yeah, I use white glue for that. You'll need pattern paper and whatever embellishments you want to decorate the box. As well as 2 dowels. Whatever this measurement is on the big side of the crocodile. That's how big that dowel is. If you can see that, it fits in there perfectly. So that's the measurement you want. I think it's 1/4 inch. I looked on the package and there was no statement, but I just bought them at the craft store. You just get this. I have a 3/8 inch, and it's quite a bit chunkier. I think this is a 1/4. So yeah. So you need 2 of those for each box, and whatever length your box is going to be. And that's about it. So those are the supplies you need. And then, like I said, I'll put the measurements down below, as well as on my blog. I took a bunch of still photos yesterday as I worked, so that I can put those on my blog post about this video. So you'll be able to check those out there as well. And I'll put a link to my blog down below. So, here is the partially constructed box. I did this part in the video yesterday. And you can see how I've used the construction strips here. But I'll go ahead and put the rest of it on together here with you. I start out with a construction strip, or a structure strip, whichever way you want to call it. And I'm just looking for the better end to peel off. They both go right to the very edge, so I guess it doesn't matter. I was pretty precise on that one. Pull that apart there. There we go. Pull that off. And I always end up with a little mess over here with the backing sheets. And then I take my tacky glue, which I'm going to move over here. Run a bead right down the middle. Whoops, that didn't go so well, did it? Working around the tripod is kind of tricky. Okay, and so I have that down the middle. And then I put one on each side, and I just am not real precise about that because I just want it there to give me that extra wiggle time. So it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be beautiful. Well, none of the glue application has to be beautiful, you know what I mean. But, yeah. Then, like I said, I use that bead of white glue. Well, let me do it here first. And I take my side piece and I just put it to the edge of that center bead of glue. And that's going to give me, I don't like where that is though. And you see how easily that was to move? So I want to sort of center it up on the piece lengthwise. There we go. So yeah, that's about exactly how much space you want between the center of your structure strip and your chipboard. And then bring the box over, or your base piece, however you are in your construction process, and just lay them alongside. And you can, because the structure strip is already at a right angle, it's going to go together very nicely right where you want it to be. And I just make sure my corners line up. And there it is. So that's what it's going to look like. You're going to have a little space between the sides. And normally I would not have put the end on before I got to this point. I put that on to demonstrate how to do a corner in the video yesterday that failed. But I would lay this flat if I didn't have this end on. I would lay it flat and burnish this down really well. As it is, I'm just going to do it with my fingers as much as I can. But I like to use my bone folder and really get it stuck. So, that's that. Then we take another one of these, and we measure it against our end piece here, and just snick it off to the right length. And I'm not real precise about how long it is. It has to be the majority of the length, you know. Like this one is, you know, not exactly, it's probably a good 3/4 of an inch shorter than the length of the wall, but that's okay, because you're going to cover everything with pattern paper, and that's going to add extra strength to the whole thing, because you'll be gluing and gluing and gluing the whole way. So, again, that bit down the middle, a little bit on each side. And the corners, especially the second ones, always go together very, very nicely. Very easy to put together. Just set them together. Now, I didn't mention this, but I should. The sides, in my world, go on the outside of the base. It's not sitting on top of the base, it's going on the outside of it. And I do the same thing at the end. I want it outside. And so, that's what your piece is going to look like. I don't think you can see it very well on the base, but there it is. So, we'll add in the other end. And on my boxes, I have, that's the piece I dropped, excuse me. Okay, on my boxes, for the Memorydex, I put the back side higher so that you could make it decorative, and it just looks prettier. It also supports any tall cards. You know, sometimes people go crazy decorating them, and they end up taller, and so you have the extra support back there if you have that taller piece. So, that's what this is. And there's that piece of tape out of my way. Here's the structure strip. We're gonna, when it's flat and easy to do, I just line it up there like that. Cut it off. Put that back there for whatever else I need it for. And peel off the backing strip. It almost felt like I had two of these pieces of cardstock there. It's so thick, but no, it's just one. It's a nice cardstock. Not all of Recollections cardstock is that nice. The black and the craft especially are really nice. The navy's not bad. I find the weight really flimsy. Not sure what the difference, why there was a difference in the weight of the paper, because they all claim to be 65 pounds, but all 65 pound papers are not equal. That's what I'm saying. So again, right along that bead of glue, and we're just going to set him in place at the corner, or at the end rather, just like that. It's easiest if you set it down, so then you can feel that you're on the table and not on my glasses are in the way there, and not on the base. And that wasn't quite, yeah, there we go. I think that's lined up better. Yeah. Got two side pieces out of that piece I tossed over here earlier. Now, I'm just going to make this 2 inches wide, the same width as the box, not the end. That didn't stick as well as I wanted it to, because I didn't press it down hard. So, I'm just going to cut two approximately 2-inch pieces and put them on the corners. Like I said, everything's getting covered up, and everything will be reinforced by the pattern paper. So, middle bit, 2 sides. Just hold that together and slip it on there. Same thing for the other one. And that's basically the box. The tricky part comes in the inner piece that I put inside on each end. Because I actually put an extra end on each end, if that makes sense. And there's the telephone to mess up my